Good evening, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Connecticut Department of Transportation Virtual Public Information Meeting for Project 148-213 for the replacement of Bridge 793A carrying Route 15 northbound over the Quinnipiac River in the town of Wallingford. My name is Kevin Blasi, and I'm the project manager for the project being presented this evening. Before we begin the formal presentation, I'll explain the format of this evening's meeting and cover some general housekeeping items. First, I'll introduce the project team from the Connecticut Department of Transportation. Bart Sweeney, Division Chief of Bridges. Andy Cardinale, Bridge Design Principal Engineer. Once again, I'm Kevin Blasi, Bridge Design Project Manager. Nick Martin, Bridge Design Project Engineer. And the following individuals will be presenting the project to you in a moment. Anthony Bui, Bridge Design Project Designer, and Matt Giannakopoulos, Right-of-Way Coordinator from the Office of Rights-of-Way. Matt will provide an overview of the procedures followed by the department for right-of-way impacts to properties and property acquisitions. Following the formal presentation, the project team will host a question and answer session, during which time you'll have the opportunity to ask the project team questions or provide comments regarding the proposed project. The project is at the 30% design phase and is therefore subject to possible changes as the design develops, but this evening's presentation will provide you with a good overview of what can be expected. Your comments and questions are a welcome part of our design process and may serve us in the continued development of our design. During the Q&A session that follows the presentation, there are 3 methods of communicating with the project team. You can send us an email to dotproject148-213@ct.gov. You can leave a voicemail by calling 860-944-1111. And if you leave a voicemail, we ask that you please include a reference to this project, 148-213. That's project 148-213. Or if viewing through MS Teams, you can send us a question during this evening's live event through the MS Teams chat window and hit the send button. In accordance with Title VI, the Civil Rights Act, no person shall, on the basis of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation or subject to discrimination in the development of this project. At the conclusion of our presentation, we invite you to take our voluntary post-meeting survey. The hyperlinks for the survey and the DOT's Title VI page shown in this slide are available on the project webpage at https://PORTAL.CT.gov/DOT-WALLING-148-213. A recording of the formal presentation will be posted to YouTube after the event. Closed captioning, including non-English translations, will be available at that time. And with those housekeeping items out of the way, I'll now hand it off to Anthony Bui to start the formal portion of our presentation. Thanks very much for your patience.
Good evening and welcome, everybody. As Kevin mentioned, my name is Anthony Bui, and I am the design engineer for this project. Here's an aerial view of the project site. As seen, Bridge 793A carries Route 15 northbound over the Quinnipiac River in the town of Wallingford. The bridge is located 1.4 miles south of exit 66 at mile marker 59.66. Here's a closer view of the project site. East of Bridge 793A, there is an existing pedestrian bridge that crosses the Quinnipiac River and carries the Quinnipiac River Linear Trail. 150 feet north of Bridge 793A, the trail is carried under Route 15 by a concrete culvert tunnel. The Quinnipiac River Linear Trail will remain open to pedestrians throughout the duration of the proposed project. Bridge 793A was originally constructed in 1946. The bridge underwent a rehabilitation in 1984. The bridge is comprised of 2 simply supported spans with 5 rolled steel beams and carries 2 lanes of Route 15 northbound traffic over the Quinnipiac River. As mentioned previously, Bridge 793A carries 2 lanes of traffic with an average daily traffic of 29,600 vehicles per day. The overall structure length is 107 feet, with each span length being 51 feet. Now, we'll be explaining components of a bridge along with bridge language that will be used throughout the presentation.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are finally ready to present our technical portion of the presentation, and you will be hearing a lot of bridge lingo throughout the presentation. Therefore, I am about to give you a 2-minute crash course on some of the structural elements on a bridge and the numerical condition rating system assigned on a bridge. On the diagram shown, the deck is the riding surface of the bridge. The parapets, or sometimes bridges can also have an open rail system, help prevent errant vehicles from going off the bridge. The beams, or the girders, are the supporting structural elements on the bridge and are designed to support vehicular loads, the self-weight of the bridge, and any environmental loads such as wind, seismic, etc. The parapets, the deck, and the beams or the girders are what makes up the superstructure of a bridge. The abutments and wing walls are the end supports on a bridge. And the piers, if there are any, are the intermediate supports. The abutments and wing walls, as well as the piers, make up what is known as the substructure of a bridge. The substructure not only supports the superstructure, but also helps in transmitting loads from the superstructure down to the bridge foundations. All state bridges and town bridges over 20 feet in length are inspected every 2 years by the department's Bridge Safety and Evaluation Unit and are assigned a condition rating on the major structural elements on a scale of 1 through 9, with 9 being excellent condition and 1 being imminent failure condition. When a major bridge element reaches a 4 or poor condition, that is when we start to initiate a project to address these structural deficiencies.
This project was programmed for rehabilitation due to the condition of the deck. The purpose of the project is to address all the structural deficiencies of the deck. In October 2020, inspection of the bridge found the deck to be in poor condition, rated a 4. The existing superstructure is satisfactory, rated a 6. Erosion of the riverbed or scour at the bridge's foundation is in serious condition. The purpose of the project is to address all structural deficiencies of the deck, as mentioned in the previous slide. Our objective in meeting that purpose is to effectively use the program's state and federal funding to address the deficiencies while minimizing the duration of the project and limiting any impacts to travelers along Route 15 and users of the Quinnipiac River Linear Trail. On this slide, we have Bridge 793A's surface with the left image facing north and the right image facing south on Route 15 northbound. The following 2 images show the Quinnipiac River below both the Route 15 northbound and southbound bridges. The left image shows the downstream view facing east towards the pedestrian bridge along the Quinnipiac River Linear Trail. The right image shows the upstream view facing west towards the sister bridge, Bridge 793B, which carries Route 15 southbound. We'll be going over some general deterioration around the site. Multiple bituminous overlay cracks on the deck surface can be spotted in the two photos shown. On the right, asphalt sealers that have been used in the past to address overlay cracks are also experiencing similar cracking. These three images of the deck underside shows examples of exposed and deteriorated steel reinforcement, concrete pop-outs, or spalls, and patching from the 1984 rehabilitation project. The steel load-carrying beams of this bridge are experiencing extensive rust, which has resulted in a corresponding loss of steel material in some locations of the beams. The left image of the south abutment shows examples of concrete deterioration. Similar deterioration is present at the north abutment. The right image shows examples of concrete deterioration at the pier. Here is a bird's eye view of the project. The bridge is in the center of the image shown. During construction activities, the bridge will require 2 access roads. An access road will be constructed at the southwest quadrant of the bridge for construction activity. This road will be accessible from Route 15 southbound. The northeast access road will be accessible from North Plain Highway into a dirt road through a lot owned by Wallingford Group LLC and occupied by United Concrete. During the first construction season, in-stream and substructure work will be performed to address scour and substructure concerns. Both the in-stream work and substructure work are split into 2 stages. On this slide is the overview for the first stage. Stage 1 will consist of installing sheeting and cofferdam into the southern riverbed to dewater the construction area. After dewatering, the existing southern stream bed will be excavated so that the riprap can be installed. The riprap will then be top dressed with stream bed material. While the area is dewatered, repairs and minor modifications to the substructure will take place. Flow to the southern riverbed is to resume once stage 1 is completed. Sheeting and cofferdams will then be installed into the northern riverbed to dewater, install riprap, and address substructure work, similar to stage 1. Full river flow will be restored upon completion of this stage. No in-stream work will be done during the fish migratory period of April 1st to June 30th. Throughout the project, 2 lanes of traffic will be maintained during the weekday peak commuting hours of the morning and evening. Outside of those periods, the contractor may be permitted to close a lane or shoulder to perform work. Additionally, 4 weekend periods are required for the demolition of the existing concrete deck and beam superstructure and the subsequent replacement of the superstructure with prefabricated bridge units or PBUs. PBUs are a concrete deck and steel beams component, which is manufactured off-site, then shipped to the project location and set in place by crane. The photo shows an example of a PBU being set by a crane. The use of PBUs on this project will accelerate the construction schedule and therefore minimize impacts to the public. During the noted weekend work on the superstructure, traffic will not be present on Bridge 793A through the use of a crossover as detailed on the following slide. As noted on the previous slide, Route 15 northbound traffic will be shifted off of the northbound lanes through the use of a crossover to Route 15 southbound, as shown in the schematic. As traffic approaches the Route 15 bridge, it will be reduced from 2 lanes to 1 lane, and the 1 lane will also be shifted to the Route 15 southbound lanes. To accommodate the shift, traffic along Route 15 southbound will also be reduced to 1 lane during the crossover. The schematic is shown for illustrative purposes only. The length of the crossover may be longer than is shown. The crossover will not affect the pedestrians using the Quinnipiac River Linear Trail. Prior to installing the crossover, as mentioned in the previous slide, the contractor will remove the existing pavement from the bridge down to the surface of the concrete deck. This will facilitate the demolition. The contractor will then install the crossover and use a crane to remove the first span of the bridge and install the prefabricated bridge units. On a following weekend, the contractor will repeat the process for the installation of span 2. The remaining 2 weekends will be used to complete the superstructure work. This includes construction of the concrete closure pours, which connect the prefabricated bridge units together, installation of waterproofing membrane, and final paving. Final line striping and installation of the open bridge rail might also occur during the weekends, but could occur during weeknights or from behind temporary concrete barrier. Based on the Natural Diversity Database Map, or NDDB, the project location is listed as a critical habitat with state and federal listed species. Species present in this location is the northern long-eared bat. The permits listed on this slide are those anticipated from the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection and the Army Corps of Engineers. On this slide, we will be discussing rights-of-way impact for the proposed northeastern access road. The northeast access road to be constructed is shown with the affiliating property lines and rights-of-way. The southwest access road is not shown here because it falls within state of Connecticut rights-of-way. However, it will be shown in the next slide. The department plans to construct the northeast access road using an existing dirt road in place from a lot owned by Wallingford Group LLC through town of Wallingford property and onto the project site. The only time construction activities will affect the pedestrians is when the construction vehicles need to cross the trail to enter the project site from the access road. For protection of the public, construction fencing will be in place at the project site so that the pedestrian trail will remain active throughout construction. Here we have the right-of-way impact plan. On this first detail, there are no impacts to private right-of-way because the project area shown is located entirely within highway right-of-way. At the top of the slide, the southwest access road is shown falling entirely within state of Connecticut right-of-way. A second access road at the northeast embankment will also be necessary. A small portion of this access road is shown in this detail. This image shows a continuation of the northeast access road. Please note that the direction of the north arrow has been rotated from the previous detail. The access road northeast of the bridge enters town of Wallingford property from the project site with a permanent impact area of approximately 7,700 square feet to be used as an easement access. The access road will then continue onto the Wallingford Group LLC property. As shown in this plan, the access road will continue into an existing gravel lot to be used as access from North Plains Highway with a permanent impact area of approximately 14,800 square feet to the Wallingford Group LLC property. Please note that the limits of the access road shown on this detail is for illustration purposes only, and the actual path the access road follows through the lot will be determined through coordination with the property owner during the design phase.
My name is Matt Giannakopoulos, and I am a project coordinator with the department's Division of Rights-of-Way. It is our office's responsibility to acquire the property rights needed for transportation projects. The proposed project design requires the acquisition of property rights, so I'd like to give a brief overview of the department's right-of-way acquisition process. Please keep in mind, though, that the specific impacts are still being fine-tuned and may change as the design progresses. Any property rights that will be required will be acquired in accordance with Connecticut General Statutes, Sections 13A-73 and 13A-98E. And whenever there is federal money used in any aspect of a project, the department must adhere to the Uniform Relocation Assistance and Real Property Acquisition Policies Act of 1970 as amended. Once the design has moved to the point where we are ready to begin the acquisition process, each affected property owner will receive a formal letter of intent to acquire from our office, along with a property map which depicts the exact property rights to be acquired. At that point, our office will determine the fair market value of those property rights and use that value to establish an offer of just compensation. That offer will be sent out to the property owner in writing, and a right-of-way agent will be available to meet with the property owner and explain the project, go over the specific impacts to their property, and explain the state's offer. The property owner will have a reasonable time, typically at least 30 days, to consider the state's offer and enter into negotiations. If an agreement is reached, the states will prepare all the necessary paperwork and record the deed and the property map on the town land records. However, if negotiations reach an impasse, in order to keep everything on schedule, the department may acquire the necessary property rights through its power of eminent domain. In that event, the state files a notice of condemnation in the Superior Court, along with a monetary deposit in the amount of the state's offer. The owner would have 6 months from that date to file an appeal if they felt that the state's offer was inadequate. Whether or not the owner chooses to appeal, the money that was deposited in the court is available to be withdrawn by the owner, subject to the discretion of the Superior Court. I know a lot of people, when they hear the phrase eminent domain, thinks that it means the state just takes their property for $1. However, the owners are entitled to at least the state's original offer of just compensation, and the state only takes title to the property rights that are needed for the project. If there are any questions regarding the department's right-of-way acquisition process, I'd be happy to address them once the presentation has concluded.
Construction for this project is expected to start in April of 2024. The estimated cost of the project is $6.5 million, using 80% federal funds and 20% state funds. No local funds will be required for this project. Duration of construction is projected to take 2 seasons. The first season consists of installation of scour countermeasures because of the in-stream work restrictions between April 1st and June 30th. Due to the in-stream work restrictions, it is anticipated that this work will take a full construction season to complete. During the first construction season, the contractor will have lead time for procurement and fabrication of the PBUs. Second season will consist of the stage construction of the bridge over the span of approximately 4 weekends. Thank you, everybody. At this time, I would like to draw your attention over to Kevin Blasi, the project manager.
Thank you, Anthony. Let's try this again. And that concludes our formal presentation of the project. I'd like to thank the project team for a great job in putting that presentation together. And I'd also like to thank those people behind the scenes who are instrumental in helping us to get this live event out to all of you who are viewing it tonight. At this time, we will begin the question and answer portion of the event. Once again, our project team will be monitoring the chat window, the project email, and the phone line for any questions or comments that you'd like to ask or offer, and we'll do our best to answer them with as much detail and clarity as possible. Since we are monitoring the chat, email, and phone in real time, please understand that there may be a delay from the time you submit a question to the time it is posted to the chat window and addressed by our team. Please remember that the comment period is open through May 26, so if you think of a question after this event has ended, or if we provide an answer to a question this evening, but you'd like additional details, please reach out to us at any point through the comment period and we'll get back to you with an answer. Whether contacting us through email or voicemail, we will not include your name with your question unless you specifically request that we do so. And remember, if you send a comment by MS Teams chat, you have the option to post the question anonymously. Once more, we'd appreciate it if you take the time to complete our voluntary survey. Results from the survey will be used to provide enhancements to our future presentations. The link to the survey can be accessed from MS Teams live chat window, from the description field of the YouTube project channel, and at the bottom of the project webpage. Your comments and questions from tonight's Q&A session and our answers to those questions will be posted to the project webpage as a report of meeting in the coming days. A recording of the formal presentation will be posted to YouTube after the live event. Closed captioning, including non-English translation options, will be available at that time. So at this time, I'll post the survey link to the MS Teams chat, if you'll bear with me. Copy that link. So I've just posted the survey link into the live Q&A chat of MS Teams. When clicking the link to the survey, the first field you'll see is a pull-down menu in which you must select this project, project 148-213, from the list of projects. If you're viewing through YouTube, you can access the link to the web page and to the survey by clicking Show More in the description under the video window. The project email will also be available at that location, but you must copy and paste the email into the To field of your email client. It is not a live link. The project web page can be accessed at portal.ct.gov/WALLINGFORD 148-213. Folks, at this time, please feel free to drop us a comment or question by contacting us by email at dotproject148-213 at ct.gov, by leaving us a voicemail at 860-944-1111. And if leaving a voicemail, please also include this project number in your message, 148-213. You can send us an email or leave a voicemail throughout the comment period, which ends Thursday, May 26th. Or if viewing the presentation tonight through MS Teams, you can leave a chat in the MS Teams live event chat. The MS Teams chat is not available after the conclusion of this live event. Thank you very much, and we are welcome. And at this time, we'll welcome any questions or comments that you may have. Okay, Nick, a question has come in by email. You mentioned the bridge is in poor condition. Is it safe to drive on? If you don't mind taking that one.
Yeah, I can take that, Kev.
Thank you.
So yes, the bridge is safe to drive on and handle all legal and permit loads. The poor condition rating is noted through a bridge inspection, which is performed every 2 years. This alerts the department that the corrective action should be taken before the bridge continues to deteriorate. The rating of poor provides the department with ample time to develop a rehabilitation scope and process a project to address those concerns. So thank you for the question. It's a common question, but yes, the bridge is safe.
Thanks, Nick. An email question has come in. It looks like there's a direct conflict with the proposed access road location with the Quinnipiac River linear trail, yet it was mentioned that the trail would stay open. Could you please clarify? Nick, would you mind speaking to that as well, please?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
So if we could have slide 34 pulled up, please. I guess we lost the slides. Anyway, the Northeast Access Road will cross the Quinnipiac Linear River Trail. When construction vehicles are crossing, flaggers will be in place to make sure that the users of the trail are safe when vehicles are operating in proximity to the trail. The area between the trail and the river will be fenced off so that the public trail users don't inadvertently enter the active construction site, which could be quite dangerous. A gate will be placed in this fence that allows construction vehicles and construction personnel to access the work area upon crossing the trail from the access road. So there will probably only be a momentary delay in pedestrians' use of that trail. it will ensure, the flaggers will help to ensure their safety as well when construction equipment and personnel is in proximity of the trail.
Thank you, Nick. Nick, we've got another email question. What will the access roads be used for? And it looks like we've got an answer already prepared. If you want to speak to that.
Yeah. So the access roads, there's two of them. There's going to be one at the southwest embankment. That one, both of them actually, both at the southwest embankment and the northeast embankment, are primarily for the in-stream work. We need access to the underside of the bridge to be able to dry the sheeting, to be able to remove the existing channel bottom, to place riprap, to do the minor abutment repairs. As we stage that construction underneath, if you recall, we had to drive sheeting at one side to dewater one side of one barrel, meaning one span of the bridge, and then we would transfer to the other side. Since we're doing work from both sides of the riverbed, we would need access to both sides of the river, hence the two access roads at the southwest and the northeast. The access roads will be used for hauling material, so dump trucks, excavators. The work to do the PBUs is primarily going to be performed from the top side with crane equipment and other large equipment. So it's not like we're going to need any flatbeds or cranes to be able to have access down these roads. It'll primarily be excavation equipment, pumps for dewatering the work area, slight staging for the sheet piling before it's driven, and hauling the equipment away as it's excavated and hauling the riprap in before it's placed.
Thank you, Nick. So we've got another email question that came in, Nick. Will the linear trail need to be closed in the northbound or the southbound direction? If so, how many days or hours? Is the trail surface likely to be harmed or broken by heavy equipment?
Yes, I can answer that. No problem. So I understand these questions may have come in a little bit out of order. I may have answered part of this question, but I'll definitely get into it again. The trail is not going to be closed, as I mentioned earlier. It's going to be open to the public. Only the northeast trail is going to impact that. Only the northeast access road is going to impact the trail, as shown in this image here. As construction vehicles are crossing it is when we will have flaggers, active construction personnel out there to ensure that there's not cyclists, pedestrians walking into the area as a construction vehicle or equipment is passing that way. Now, and this would be momentarily, a few minutes while we get the vehicles across, and then the pedestrians and users of the trail would be able to enjoy the trail for the reason they're out there. Now, the trail surface, yes. So we're going to be having heavy construction equipment, and this trail right now is comprised of, a thin bituminous surface, a thin asphalt surface. And as you can imagine, if you have a dump truck full of stone and riverbed material crossing that, it could end up damaging it. We've coordinated with construction already in the design phase about this exact concern, and likely during construction, we will be monitoring it daily. We may remove a width of the bituminous and come back with a rideable surface that is less conducive to deterioration because of the construction vehicle loading. And then in the final condition, after construction completion, we'll make sure that the trail is returned to its original condition without any damage noted due to the construction. That was a great question. But yes, we've actually been discussing that already internally. We do have concerns about that.
Thanks for the answer, Nick.
No problem.
If we could get the contact info back up, so I can push that out to folks once again. Thank you. So again, you can reach us by email at dotpbs project 148-213 at ct.gov. You can leave us a voicemail at 860-944-1111. And again, if leaving a voicemail, please include this project number in your message, 148-213. You can send us an email or leave a voicemail throughout the comment period, which extends through May 26th, Thursday, May 26th. Or if viewing the presentation tonight through MS Teams, you can leave a chat in the MS Teams live event chat. And again, that's not available after the conclusion of this event. So another email questions come in. I've posted to the live event Q&A. The question is, how do you ensure that 2 lanes will be back open in northbound and southbound direction on Monday morning after weekend work? What if there's a delay on the weekend when installing the bridge units? Nick, do you want to again speak to that if you don't mind?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So within the contract, the department will include what are called liquidated damages, which could heavily penalize a contractor by way of monetary fines for every hour that any potential delay would impact the bridge to reopen during those weekday hours. Before the contractor could begin the weekend work, they would have to submit for review their plan for construction on that weekend, which would include contingencies for any circumstances that might result in such a delay. The department and the contractor would both have to agree on the contractor's plan and with its contingencies and agree that it's adequate before the contractor would be allowed to begin the weekend construction activities. This heavy coordination beforehand, paired with the threat of significant monetary fines associated with any delays, helps to provide a very high confidence level that the work will be completed in the necessary time frame so as to not impact the traveling public on Monday morning. The department's done several jobs such as this with PBUs successfully, and we do have a high degree of confidence that the work will be performed in the necessary timeframes outside of those peak hours for commuters. Great question. Thank you. Also, the closure will likely not happen until all items are fabricated and on site. So we would have to coordinate the flatbed delivery, make sure that the cranes are available. Everything would have to be queued up. So everything needs to fall into place. The contractor can have a plan, but every single component of that plan would have to be queued up, ready to go by the time of the closure. If something is out of place, say all of a sudden the weather indicates that there's high winds and that might affect the crane operation, it'd be a full shutdown for that weekend for construction, and we'd abandon the work before it even started. So that's the level of coordination here. We have to make sure that every single small component that contributes to the installation of the PBUs and the necessary construction during that weekend closure would go perfectly. Otherwise, it'd be called off, and we'd wait for a weekend that would match those needs.
Very good. Thanks, Nick. Once again, folks, you can reach us by email, dotproject148-213 at ct.gov. You can reach us by phone, leave a voicemail at 860-944-1111. Both the email and phone are available through the comment period, which extends to Thursday, May 26th. Or tonight, you can reach us by chat in this MS Teams live event. Nick, an email question came in. Why does a project cost so much?
Yeah, I can address that one too.
Thanks. So
I understand that the overall project cost mentioned, we quoted $6.5 million at this time. It does seem quite high. There are a lot of components of the project that contribute to the overall construction cost. about 15% of the overall cost is contributed just to maintenance and protection of traffic throughout the construction phase, site prep at the beginning of the project, and just mobilization and closeout of the project once the construction activities have completed. In this case, we're dealing with a complex project involving prefabricated bridge units. Going with these large precast components requires large cranes and construction equipment, which come at a high cost. I also just mentioned the heavy amount of coordination and risk that has to go into getting things done in the necessary timeframes. The trade-off, however, is that we minimize to the extent possible the impact of the traveling public to just a few weekends. There's always a thorough investigation of trying to find the perfect balance of minimizing the impact to the traveling public while also trying to keep the project costs as low as possible, while always getting the product that we need. In this case, minimizing the impact to travelers of Route 15 is worth the extra costs associated with the proposal. Also, this is only a 30% cost estimate that we've shown here at $6.5 million, which may decrease as we progress the design. Right now at 30%, there are a lot of unknowns. So generally at this stage in design, we tend to slightly inflate our estimates to account for those uncertainties that may come up later on in the design phase. And also related to cost, all projects go out to bid and are usually awarded to a qualified contractor who is the lowest bidder. Since the contractor's bid price is based on an estimate independent of the department's internal estimate, there's also a chance that the bid actually comes in lower than what the department had planned for, which is always great.
Thanks again, Nick. Nick, another question by email. Why are we replacing the northbound bridge and not the southbound bridge as well?
It's a good question. Yeah, I can get that one.
Thank you.
So it's actually not a bridge replacement project. We're doing a bridge rehab, and we are replacing a component of the bridge, just the superstructure. So the steel beams, the concrete deck, and the bridge rail that the deck supports. The southbound bridge was actually rehabbed in 1990 under a deck replacement project. So currently that bridge is in a state of good repair and does not require rehabilitation at this time.
Thanks, Nick.
No problem.
Can I have the contact info again pushed up, please? And we'll shout that out once again. Folks, we're, I think, maybe winding down here. Send your questions in if you have them, please. Again, by email, dotproject148-213@ct.gov. By phone, 860-944-1111, and by MS Teams chat this evening. Nick, questions come in again by email. How long is construction season going to last?
Yeah, I can answer that one.
Thank you.
So as we mentioned, we have 2 construction seasons currently planned, but the question is when will work be occurring during those construction seasons, right? So the calendar years. Typically, construction season lasts from April 1st through the end of November, and that's because we typically have what's called a winter shutdown on most of our projects, which lasts from the beginning of December through all the way up until April 1st. That's because for the winter shutdown, for bridge rehabilitation and replacement jobs, there's a lot of work that is very costly and difficult to perform during the cold weather, like concrete pouring and paving. So for that reason, we typically will restrict our construction seasons from April 1st through the end of November. Now, we do have an in-stream work restriction here due to regulatory agencies putting a restriction on us due to migratory fish in the Quinnipiac. That that takes out of the first portion of our construction season, but that just means in-stream work. So we can still be actively on the construction site performing activities, just not in-stream, in the open water, that is.
Thanks, Nick.
One thing I'd like to add is that if a project has very tight time constraints and say the impacts to the traveling public we had a lane closure in place and we couldn't leave it in place over the winter, obviously, we may force the contractor to work in the winter, and we would estimate the project cost accordingly with the work that has to happen during that shutdown period, that typical shutdown period where the cold weather is present. Because as I mentioned earlier, the work activities may be more difficult, require specialized workers or specialized materials and equipment. And sometimes the contractor will propose to work in the winter when we as a department had planned for a winter shutdown. In those cases, a lot of times that happens when there's a delay in construction that the contractor incurred and they're trying to make up the calendar days. They'll put in a proposal to work during the winter shutdown period and in lieu of being hit with a penalty when they don't get the contract completed in time. And in those cases, when the contractor proposes it to make up their loss of time, that extra work and difficulty associated with that work in the winter shutdown may be at the expense of the contractor in that case. And winter work also, if they're not temperature sensitive. Some things we do, sometimes tree clearing, it's actually easier to remove trees in the wintertime. As you can imagine, the sap isn't flowing. That might happen. Anything that's not concrete related, the contractor can still procure materials. They can submit their plans for review. All that bookkeeping side of the project can still happen during that. It's not like communication just shuts off entirely during that shutdown. It's typically, in-field work that's sensitive to the inclement weather, the cold weather.
Thank you, Nick. Folks, I've pushed the link to the survey into the chat once again. If you have the time and you don't mind volunteering to fill out and complete the survey, we'd greatly appreciate it. It assists us with our future presentations. Again, that link can be found on the project webpage and in this MS Teams chat field, as well as on the YouTube, within the YouTube description under the YouTube video. If you hit show more, you'll see the link to the survey as well as a link to the project webpage. And folks, we're going to give it a few more minutes. We'll see if get some more questions coming in. Another couple of minutes. If anybody has any more questions, we're monitoring the phone, the email, and the chat. Folks, I think we're going to call it here. Again, this presentation will end here, but that doesn't mean you don't still have an opportunity to send your comments or questions in by the information you see on your screen now. Again, email and phone, both available throughout the comment period ending Thursday, May 26th. Email dotproject148-213 Phone for leaving a voicemail, 860-944-1111. Again, I'd remind you to please leave the project number 148-213 as a reference in your voicemail. It's a shared account with other projects. And as well as if you don't, you know, if you're able and have the time to fill out our voluntary survey, that's much appreciated. When you click the link to the survey, the first thing you'll see is a pull down list, and you'll need to select this project 148-213 from the pull down list to ensure that the survey is applicable to the correct project. With that, I'll say good night. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope we've been informative, answered answered your questions to the extent that you know it satisfies your question, and everybody have a good night. Thank you.